everyone, my name is Artextric. Today we're going to be doing anime recommendation, reactions, giving our opinions, or whatever the case may be, whether through the chat or myself. I will have to pause every time I give my opinion because YouTube doesn't like it when you just have their content just running without any form of, like, I guess, fair use and usage of making content based on my opinion. So stopping it and pausing it is the reason why I do that. I would just let it run, but because that's not viable, you can't do that. So that's why this is a reaction. We have to pause it, give our opinion, whether it's something that was stated or what the case may be. So that's what that is. Okay, so this is from Lines of Motion. I actually have done videos on her before. I think she did the Danmachi anime or manga way back before it became the anime. It was that Dungeons and Delicious. That was it. I think it's called Danmachi, but I could be wrong. But it's called Dungeons and Delicious. For those who've seen it, it's on Netflix. It's pretty good. It's fun to watch if you're a fantasy type person and all that stuff. If you like fantasy, elves, dwarves, orcs, if you ever played D&D, you know what I'm talking about. Anyway, so this is Lines of Motion. They are a anime recommendator, and I think also analysts based on anime and shows they like and movies and all that great stuff based on anime specific stuff. So we're gonna listen to Lines of Motions and see what recommendation that she has. Delicious in Dungeon. Delicious in Dungeon. There we go. And then we're going to see what they say, and let's jump through it. All right.
It's been over a year and a half since my last manga recommendation video, and since you guys love them and I love creating and compiling them, it only feels natural to continue to the third chapter of this manga rec series. If you haven't watched the previous two, I'll put a link in the description for you to watch and catch up, but for now, here are 7 manga I thoroughly enjoyed and think you should check out too. Starting with the biggest surprise of the bunch, Lost Lad London immediately caught my attention from the volume cover alone. It's one of the few manga I can recall to have a black protagonist and East Asian protagonist up front and centre sharing the spotlight. Despite the designs being compelling,
now that's definitely different. Never heard of that one before.
Simple, all things considered, it's refreshing to see differing racial representation within a space that lacks such, or often generates insulting caricature visuals instead. Taking place within the busy, tourist-ridden capital city of the United Kingdom, mangaka Shima Shinya took the opportunity to showcase the authentic reality of London, recognised as one of the most diverse cities in the world. And, funnily enough, as a Brit,
I'm sorry, I don't know why people say stuff like this, because there's a bunch of anime characters that happen to be black that a lot of black people tend to like. From Hunter x Hunter, Black Lagoon, I guess you could say Dragon Ball to a degree. What do you call it? Soul Eater. Wait, what's the other one? Soul Eater, Fire Force. What else? Oh my god. It's one at the moment I have a blank in my head. Naruto and My Hero. Exactly. So I don't know why they say stuff like this.
says Bleach.
And Bleach. I don't know why they say things like this. It's kind of weird.
Lost London felt very reminiscent of the higher quality BBC or ITV drama
what she's talking about.
Yeah.
Mystery shows that become so successful here. Sitting as a
Baki. And yes, I know she used that one character from wait, what is it called? Never Wonderland, something Wonderland, I forgot. Never Wonderland, I think it's called. That character is supposed to be menacing for the reason.
Silver Comet said plus monsters we make.
That too.
Bright Roclos says Promise Neverland.
Promise Neverland, sorry, my bad. But like, the reason why that character is like that is because she was supposed to be menacing anyway. So I don't see the point why they should be like, they have to be like good looking and then evil. Don't really get that, but
Silver Comet said Attack on Titan.
Attack on Titan, there you go.
Concise story of 3 volumes, Shinya starts and concludes a gripping detective story that follows the murder of the Mayor of London, and to make matters worse, innocent university student.
And no, Mr. Popo isn't black. Can we stop doing this? He's a genie. He's not black. He's not. If anything, he's Indian. What the hell?
Al is somehow possessing the murder weapon in his jacket pocket. Lost Lad London spares no time in throwing you within the thrilling tale of a whodunit scenario. A propulsive read keeping you on the edge of your seat as Al and soon-to-be companion Detective Inspector Lenny Ellis try to unravel the puzzle in who the murderer is and what he wants with Al. In many ways, this manga doesn't actually feel like a manga at times. It's difficult.
Why I didn't mention him.
Just like, it's crazy. Like, he's not black. I don't know why people like to do that. It's insane.
Difficult to articulate, but between how the writing conveys a dramatic mood comparable to Hollywood dramas, and the very abstract limited backgrounds comparable to European comics,
Right?
Shinya has a unique touch in storytelling I haven't quite read in a manga before. Between their accurate portrayal of dry humour, the sneaky mentions of supermarkets us Brits will recognise, and of course the familiarity in architecture, Shinya is either a local themselves or put tremendous amounts of research into this manga, with some minute detailing even taking me back. Al and Ellis are intriguing characters in their own right. Al is a
Because think about it, the Asians actually put work in whatever they do. Asian people tend to, I'm not saying no other races, but in particular in this particular form and medium, whether it be manga and video games, Asians are very good at their research. They do better than us in our Western stuff anyway. Like, look at Marvel Rivals.
_GT said hello.
It makes total sense, right? I don't know if the mangaka or the author, if they're both the same person, is writing this based on their perspective of living in the UK, or like she said, they have extensive research that she, as a native there, is drawn back by what is placed in this manga. Tells you that they put enough research, or they're native and they take note of the surroundings and tries to implement it into their comic and or manga or their storytelling. So there you go.
very straightforward guy.
Hello.
He's a hardworking student putting in the efforts for both his studies and financial situation, given he's a student living in a costly city. Perhaps blunt at times, his mannerisms do feel like that of an early 20s student. Finding out his milk had been taken by a flatmate, bantering with Ellis, and not being a morning person. Ellis, however, is more than your archetypal detective, displaying an actual sense of care whilst being a realistic and practical-minded person that understands, no doubt from personal experiences, the racial profiling Al would face being a South Asian suspect for a murder that is globally looked into. His relationship with Yuki in the office is one I'd have loved to see more of too, having each other's backs in regards to the case, but also to the struggles they face as people of colour in a white-dominated space. With racial bias against Al and Ellis's side, on top of a culprit trying to frame Al, the pair find themselves scrambling together the ties that connect everything together. I appreciate its concise shortness in not dragging out the story for the sake of it, and instead concluding with a stellar ending that encapsulates the emotive intensity as is displayed throughout the series. It makes me super excited to check out Shinya's other mystery series Glitch, that's also officially licensed with its first volume out now. If you're a fan of crime drama, mysteries, or just in the mood for something a little different within the manga space, Lost Lad London is an impressive short read. The Fragrant Flower Blooms with Dignity by Sakamikami is one of the longest manga on this list. With currently 9 volumes to its name, annoyingly only digitally available at the moment, though its physical release does start next year, this manga upholds a joy within the simplicity of school romance. Such as many school romances like Skip and Loafer or Insomniacs After School, it's more a dive into character exploration than a deep narrative plot. Perhaps surrounding these social differences of both protagonists in a less than unique way, Fragrant Flower instead surprises me in the prose of understanding the frustration of miscommunication or lack thereof, especially in a school setting where that's often excused with adolescent mindfulness. Rintaro Sumugi is a laid
leaving for milk?
back guy whose aloof appearance is often confused with delinquency,
I wouldn't put it.
and
I
yet
would
his heart
put
is
there's
more
something that
weighted than the
exists like
hollow
that.
echoes his archetype tries to achieve. Rather, Rintaro is consciously caring in his decisions, and attentive towards how his actions may be perceived, in particular to Kaorako Wagari, his counterpart in this story. Whilst Rintaro attends a boys-only public school full of morons, Kaorako attends a infamously private girls-only academy recognised for its honourable students. The premise is an opposing dynamic in the making, but it's the shared gentleness of both Rintaro and Kaorako that binds their stories together in a sweet romance, sufficient in charm and warmth. If you watched my Skip and Loafer video, you'll know romance is a genre I'm very nitpicky with, so I was pleasantly shocked at the speed at which I was smitten with their dynamic. Rintaro in particular is a shining example of what you'd call a gentleman, like not being expectant of Kaorako, understanding her boundaries and what personal time she may want to keep for herself, to little gestures like walking her to the station, or even being mindful of his presence of those around him.
I don't know. When men do things like this, they're called simp.
He's an incredibly considerate character and balances the adorable assertiveness of Kaorako, whose personality in this relationship is the more assured of the two, making for very genuine conversations and scenes. Often Kaorako's type of character would oppose these characteristics, normally reserved for the quiet type swept off her feet by a handsome bad boy. Alternatively, Fragrant Flower delivers a more compelling draw through showcasing the insecurities and self-blame Rintaro suffers instead, and how the acceptance of others, however slight, can slowly change that. This trait isn't there to diminish Kaorako's character, instead offering a more open conversation towards communication. Rintaro often blames himself with faults and mistakes, thinks of the worst circumstances possible due to his actions, and puts others before himself a little too quickly and repetitively. Not to the point of being a yandere, quite the opposite. He cherishes Kaorako's time spent with him in a healthy manner, but still isn't able to understand just what she sees in a guy like him. The manga is an effective lesson in teaching how being too kind, to the point of never putting yourself first, can have detrimental issues too.
Is this simp behavior? I think that's considered simp behavior, right? I think that's literally simp behavior. Is that what they consider it? Yeah. Where you're super nice all the time. Oh my god.
And learning to love oneself as much as you love others is just as big a challenge as any. In combination with the lovingly expressive art thrown throughout the series that depicts the charm and turmoil teenage crushes induce, The Fragrant Flower Blooms with Dignity is one of my favourite new ongoing series I'll be sure to keep up with. Shirahama Kamome is definitely not a new name on this channel by any means. Having referenced Witch Hat Atelier in most of my manga videos, it's not such a surprise I'd check out her previous manga, Enieru and Deviella, or Eni Devi for short. Just a little side note, I will be saying the names in their Japanese pronunciation, as the English localization is pronounced so many different ways, even when I asked several people. Back to the topic, Eni Devi is for people who are in need of an entertaining short read, consisting of two women, an angel and devil, who find themselves in hijinks and bizarre scenarios pertaining to the ideology of their titles. Given the premise, I'd be very surprised if the manga wasn't inspired by Good Omens by Neil Gaiman, especially considering
If you know, you know. If you know, you know. If you know who Neil Gaiman is. If you know, you know. I hope some of you actually know who that is. The creator of The Sandman. Yeah, he's not in a very good place. Given that he was,
Bright throw close said winking face emoji.
Bro's a snake in the grass, I'm telling you now. Bro was say, okay, so just to give you up the speed, I'm just going to tell you guys the short synopsis of this. Neil Gaiman is a famous author. I think he wrote some comic books, especially his graphic novel, The Sandman. He is the type who will say, believe all women, no matter what. No matter what. And then, ironically, when people say things like this, they're usually the culprit of their own nonsense. So
the comment said no.
Bro said, I believe all women no matter what. And then it was revealed later on in time, because people held that against him for saying that, because you should never say that, because it looks stupid on your behalf when some nonsense happens. It has been shown that he has been a deviant for a good while against several women, with stories of insane stuff he has done to them. And now he's saying these women are lying. Oh, bro. I tell you something. Remember, if you try and be nice when you try and lay a pipe, you're a simp. That's funny. So yeah, so for those who don't know who that is, well, I'm not saying that his work isn't great.
The comment said knew it.
Like, I'm not saying his work isn't great. Actually, most of his work is really is phenomenal. But we need to separate the work from the artist in this particular situation. I think that Lines is supposed to mention his situation because he's in a lot of hot trouble. He has lost most of his Netflix deals, I think. Netflix deals, book deals, and all that stuff because of the stuff he was doing.
Comment said, "No, you heard that song too."
Yeah.
Short. Just a little side note, I will be saying the names in their Japanese pronunciation, as the English localization is pronounced so many different ways, even when I asked several people. Back to the topic, Any Devi is for people who are in need of an entertaining short read, consisting of two women, an angel and devil, who find themselves in hijinks and bizarre scenarios pertaining to the ideology of their titles. Given the premise, I'd be very surprised if the manga wasn't inspired by Good Omens by Neil Gaiman, especially considering Shirahama Komome appears to be a massive fan of the show, and much like the latter, Any Devi delves into the conundrum of opposites attract, with both Ennieru and
I'm surprised that Lines did not mention his nonsense, but okay.
Deviella continuously bickering like an old married couple, despite emerging from differing transcendent homes. It's the good old we're not meant to like each other scenario, where they both begrudgingly put up with each other's antics while secretly loving their attention and closeness, though Deviella would never admit to such. They're both doofuses in a rivalry lacking any real depth nor seriousness, nicknaming each other Eni and Devi fondly, clothes shopping together, blushing around another, or Ennieru continuously having heart eyes when in Deviella's presence. Whilst it may not be the most original story out there, it's a different.
Let's be honest. When they write characters like this, the left tends to make a assumption about their friendship too much. It can never be platonic if you're in the West. You can never, if you're the same sex of someone else and you're very close, it can never be platonic in their head.
Change of pace for Shirahama Komome. Her approach towards comedy is more prominent, and infectiously so, as the beats of playful slapstick sequences elevate the unserious tone of the story. It does have a raunchiness surrounding it that Witch Hat lacks, and more appropriately so given the contrasting spirit and intention of both manga, that was a little surprising. A bit fanservice-y at times, but more in the likes of how Satoru Noda
I don't even know what that is, and if you want me to draw that character, you have to pay for that, sorry.
or Yoko go about fanservice, just appreciating the bodies of adult characters, so I wasn't too bothered in that regard. In fact, quite the opposite. Any Devi does shortly conclude at 3 volumes, an entertaining afternoon read of exaggerated absurdity centred upon the unprofessional angel and devil. Whilst analogous to Witch Hat in terms of charm, the art style is, of course, a beauty to the eyes, as is pretty commonplace with Shirahama Komome's work. Much like Lost Lad London, if you're after a short read, this one more episodic in nature, I'd check this series out to consume a wider branch of Komome's writing capabilities.
Are you talking about the art style?
Yoto Sano's manga Gokorakugai is probably the most conventional of the list, in that it's a pretty formulaic series combining many other established manga tropes and narrative expositions in a way that feels familiar. This isn't meant to discredit the story nor characters. In fact, I see nothing wrong with using the conventional to your own advantage. And for Gokorakugai, the series does exactly this. It's very much a combination of Blue Exorcist, Jujutsu Kaisen, or Kemono Jihen, which funnily enough Yoto Sano was an assistant for.
I'm not familiar with
Kemono.
Kimono.
Keep putting it off.
I've been hearing some negative stuff about it lately, so I can't tell if the manga is good or not. But that's something you have to make your own opinion, not around others. That's just hype at that point. That's just outwards external hype. But you need to read that on your own. So I understand. I'm not familiar with Kimono Jin at all. That one's new to me. I've never heard or seen that before. Don't remember being recommended that at all.
While slowly separating into its own thing. After the success and attention its one-shot managed to garner, Yoto Sano was able to proceed in expanding the lore and world building of the supernatural, with an ongoing series now releasing in Jump Square. Gokurakugai introduces main characters Arama and Tao, an atypical pairing working together as troubleshooters for hire. It contains your typical fighting endeavours, with creatures, demons and the like troubling the human world as the dynamic duo fend them off and protect humankind. Sounds pretty cliché all things considered, but what intrigued me upon the story was the weakness of main character Arama, the more upfront and eager youngling of the two, whose powers as a half Maga, yes, the monsters in this series are called Maga, allow him to fend off the more powerful enemies. And yet, his biggest weakness is Tao. His free will becomes more limited without the presence of his partner, unable to enact and draw from his raw power without Tao being there to give him permission in using it. It's an interesting twist. His safety at the hands of Tao's authorizations gives him a weakness not so easy to overcome in comparison to other shonen main characters. It's not to say Tao revels in the power of Arama's undoing, rather she's an incredibly laid-back character, and that's perhaps what makes them work as a team so effectively. Arama is a boy who wears his heart on his sleeve, willing to hear out victims or even those in need of a pick-me-up, whilst Tao is still a mystery. A beautiful and majestic mystery, mind you, but a character whose depths are still yet to be explored properly. Which is fair given the manga isn't very far into its story, only a few volumes in, and clearly here for the long haul, much like the neighbouring manga also in the same magazine. It's unclear as to where Yoto Sano will direct the development.
I keep asking this question, and I usually have my mod Bri remind me. Is Sephiroth of the End, is that cancelled? That was cancelled, right? Or was the anime cancelled but the manga's done? I can't remember. I feel like it got cancelled within like a cliffhanger or something. And I keep asking this question and I keep forgetting. And I keep having my mod Bri remind me. Is it cancelled? Or did it meet its ending? Because I can never remember.
Element of the characters and story, but I've fallen intrigued by its potential. The art in the series is wonderful too, in particular the character designs, which are a stellar standing point towards the series' charm. From Tao and Arama.
Oh, the anime was? Was the manga finished? Because I was so annoyed when like the manga itself, the anime got cancelled, so I was like left on a cliffhanger.
To recurring side characters, so many are created to look as sleek and alluring as possible.
Okay.
They're very distinctive in style that I have no doubts many cosplayers will beg for the chance to dress as them once this series develops and becomes more popular. So if you're looking to be the first in on a series that may blow up later down the line, I'd consider catching up and familiarising yourself with Gakurakugai, because it's definitely showing a lot of potential, and it's almost guaranteed for an anime in the future if it keeps this up. The second romance recommendation is an adult-orientated josei observing the lives of Hoshi Kuyori and Akiyama Hijiri, two childhood best friends, soon to be lovers. As recommended by my good friends, the Artisan Geek and Colleen's Manga Rex, I decided to give the series a try following their appreciation and positive feedback.
There was no more pages to adapt.
Okay.
And I am so glad that I did. Changes of Heart by Kujira spares no time in acquainting its readers towards a more mature themed romance. The story explores sexual intimacy, the developing change of a relationship status, and the compelling drive of following your heart's desires. Following the aftermath of being cheated on by her boyfriend, Koyori drunkenly hooks up with her longtime childhood friend, Hijiri, of whom she felt infatuated with deep down all along. My eyebrow did raise a little with the first few pages, mostly concerned over Koyori seemingly confused as to where she was and what amounts of consent was clouded, before the true nature of their relationship was established and those minuscule red flags flew away. Hijiri thankfully doesn't come off as an opportunistic jerk towards Koyori, truthfully not knowing about her
Remember, it's only not consent if they like you.
true drunken state, and more concerned about her well-being and why she was so aghast.
Now, if he was ugly, he's going to jail.
Bright Rockless said teach lol.
Whilst the incident is framed as a mistake at first, both taking ownership of the situation that pushed their relationship in a new direction, it's clear straight from the offset that the lingering feelings are entirely mutual on both sides. Something I'm very glad was established so preemptively, as it left no uncertainties towards the narrative direction. Kujira manages to successfully balance that fine line regarding a mistaken rebound scenario that, if written by anyone else, could have rubbed me the wrong way.
See?
Hijiri is pretty quick in reacting to the scenario, wanting to push the relationship forward due to the evolving change in the relationship that previously stayed non-romantical, but that can also be put down to it being the first chapter, where the premise had to be engaging enough for publishers to pick the story up for an official release. So I'll let that slide. In fairness though, Hijiri does acknowledge the guilt in taking advantage of Koyori during an emotional, distressing time. But Koyori herself brushes that off, knowing full well her feelings matches his own. Childhood friends to lovers is a trope I adore when approached well.
Oh, you can only use them unless you like them. Okay, that worked. That checks out for everyone.
And Changes of Heart does such a
As long as she likes you.
Silver Comet said, how good of a sandwich can you make?
sweet job in portraying the nuances and progressing through the sometimes awkward shift of friends to more. Not to suggest you don't stay friends, of course, but the slight adjustments that make for touching moments of change, or the hesitancy of fearing for said friendship if something goes wrong. The story progresses through differing spectrums of love in adulthood, from trusting your partner by giving them space if needed or respecting boundaries. Unfortunately, it's yet to have any physical release news, as is sadly the case for many josei, but I feel a story like this would be universally loved if given more of a marketing push and general accessibility outside just
No. 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 Not here. No. 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 No, I'm sorry. I'm just gonna be honest. That's not gonna work out here. No.
a US digital release. So if you do pick this manga up following this video, be sure to spread the love on social media so Kodansha can see the—
There are only 3 reasons why this particular character is not in jail. Number 1, his childhood friend. Number 2, he's probably attracted to her. Number 3, she already liked them. She already liked them from before. So, you know, yeah. And then, even when she claimed earlier that he tried to use her for an emotional situation, we all know what that actually means, because he was going through something. She liked them already, so she allowed it to happen. So no, I don't think that type of message is going to go well with the Westerners. I'm just saying, like, by experience of how they portray men here.
Comet said she'd been waiting for that.
Yeah.
potential of this wholesome yet realistic romance manga. Majiru Mie Magical Girls is the perfect composite of both the magical girl genre and the superhero genre. Currently ongoing in Shonen Jump Plus, Majiru Mie caught my attention because of its lack of conformity within the very genres I grouped it with. It's a very refreshing take on heroism. Conventionally in those stories, the main character will be someone who acts on instinct, will go out of their way to save someone no matter the collateral damage to their surroundings or how much self-inflicted pain they'll go through. And I do get that moral.
So it's just magical girl Spider-Man to a degree, right? Because Peter will throw himself in front of a bus. That sounds like Spider-Man to me.
Shows the sacrificial nature of a hero and the compassionate qualities they possess. In contrast, main character Sakuragi Kana showcases a different approach of heroism. Starting the series as a young woman failing multiple job interviews, she goes to a coffee shop in an attempt to re-energize herself before the next inevitable disappointment. But coincidentally, it's here where her qualities shine. With accurate observancy towards taking in her surroundings, in addition to impressive memorization,
right?
She's able to help the baristas during a busy hold-up, by listing the detailed orders the customers before her had requested. While sounding mundane in this scenario, it's those exact qualities that make for an interesting hero. Being a magical girl within this world is a fully fleshed career with differing degrees of success. They're essentially superhero magical girls who work for a company that gets hired to defeat whatever enemy may lurk near.
So My Hero Academia. Is that what that is? You know, if you think about it, if you actually think about it, if Captain America literally went with the accords like what Tony Stark wanted, it would be literally My Hero Academia. Think about it. Just like in Soul Leveling, My Hero Academia, the government has some form of like hands in this. So
Silver Comet said I was thinking Hololive but sure.
That too. Oh, actually no. Let me see. Have I seen that one? Hololive? I haven't seen Hololive. I gotta watch that.
And Kana finds herself abruptly
Or
accepted
Hololive, yeah.
into said industry through helping Koshigaya, an established magical girl of high power through her promising abilities of memory and spatial awareness. The company she's accepted into only naturally being Majirumiye.
Yeah.
It's no easy feat to stay calm and collected during stressful scenarios, especially when cornered and with no real means of escape. Thus, going for the easiest decision is the norm in shonen series, but always at the sacrifice of others' livelihoods, homes, or self-inflicted injuries. As a change of pace, Kana instead assesses the dangerous situations at breakneck speed, thinking of every issue and each decision she could make, but more importantly, the consequences of each action. And that in and of itself is a superpower not nearly explored enough. Majirumiye Magical Girls furthers the definition of heroism. The team surrounding Kana are befittingly sweet and proud of Kana for joining their team and being a solid asset to the new duo that is Kana and Koshigaya. Not only is it refreshing to see the girls be the big guns fighting the monsters whilst the guys play as the strategic support.
What is she talking about? There's a bunch of anime where there's a protagonist that is a woman and she's the main character, and there's several women that... What is she talking about? This is not the first anime to do something like this to a degree, having a woman protagonist with other strong female protagonists in anime. What is she talking about? Wait, go back again. Let me hear that
duo
again.
that is Kana and Koshigaya. Not only is it refreshing to see the girls be the big guns fighting the monsters whilst the guys play as the strategic support, their company itself is an inspiring one.
What are they talking? Isn't there anime right now about a superhero girl? I think her name is Shy.
Comet said yeah, she's not done any research of her own.
Like, isn't there like there's an anime right now called, I think, Shy or something. It's like a superhero anime, and they have like companies and stuff just like this. Oh, I forgot what it's called. I think it's called Shy. And it works through the life of a typical girl who's a superhero.
The channel name, 'cause I'm interested what the comment says. Comet said yes.
Her name is Lines and Emotions. There we go. That, and then there was another one. There's another one. There's another magical girl type anime, just like this to a degree. And there's a superhero one. I think it's called Shy the Superhero or something. I gotta look that up.
Conventional leader of the group is mindful of overworking his staff, making sure they're well paid, that their costumes are of high quality, and on top of all else, is respectful to the girls and their...
Yeah, I was right. The anime is called Shy. S-H-Y. Let me see. Her most daring to an enemy yet. Yeah, it's literally about a superhero girl, and most of the staff is female. And I think there's like one male. That's it.
Work. Kana is reassured that all ideas are good ideas, and she won't be mocked for sharing them. Hell, even
that's not a good mindset. There's not something as a bad idea, but you need to understand not every good idea is actually good. It's good that you express them, right? But doesn't mean they're all good.
during a heavily stressful and time-limiting dilemma, when she asks for 3 minutes to think further for a better solution, the team is completely willing to give her that. The duo team of writer Iwata Seka and artist Aoki Yu really got me with this supportive cast and premise. I love the unique take on the genre, that it's a whole group of adults, not schoolgoers, the endearing relationship between Kana and Koshigeya, and even the political conflicts that happen later in the series. Once again, it is stuck as a digital release only for now, but hopefully with a push that will change in the future.
Okay. I don't know.
I am definitely going to have to get used to this new lens and this new little microphone thing, attachment thingy bob that I've got.
For example,
Whatever.
if
Anyways.
I wanted to release a tiger, would that be good?
I actually like how that was said. That was funny.
Thanks for watching to the end of the video. As always, I haven't done a manga recommendation video in a good year and a bit.
Yeah.
But I wanted to do one because I think I read over 40 manga, I think, in preparation for this video. And there were some bangers in there, I can't lie. The next video is actually going to be a spooky one, hopefully kind of to reflect the spooky season that we're going to be going into. Although for some reason the UK has gone into summer weather, even though it's September and we've had no sun up until now.
Just to be clear, this video's a year ago, so if she's saying this, then you know.
But whatever, it's Halloween coming up soon, so you're going to get a spooky video, and then the video after that is going to be about the summer Hikaru-kun died. I'm really looking forward to that one, but the second volume doesn't come out until middle of October, so that one should either be around Halloween or just after. But I'm really looking forward to covering that one too, so do let me know what you think of the recommendations that I've put in this video, because some of them were genuinely really good, and I'm probably going to be covering some of them in the future as their own solo videos, kind of like what I did with Skip and Loafer. As usual, I want to thank my patrons for supporting my channel. I was able to get a new camera lens, which I am speaking into.
Alright, I'm going to stop from there. Thank you, Lines in Motion, for that nice video. Okay. Thank you, Lines in Motion, for that nice video. I would say some of the opinions that was made in this video was kind of questionable, but then again, we all make mistakes to a degree. This was a year old, so it is what it is. No hate, but then again, like some of the things you said was like, I don't know. I think you should fact check some of those statements you made, but it is what it is. But with that said, great video. You presented pretty well and all that great stuff, and I'll see you guys in the next one. We're going to